In my school days, I studied two books out of my course. One was The Discovery of India, written by Jawaharlal Nehru, and the second was The Glimpses of World History, again written by him. Of course, not in English, but in my native language, Malayalam. That tremendously influenced the first time about river Ganga we find mention in Rig Veda. Imam me Gange Yamune Saraswati Shutudri Somam Sajada Varishneya Asikne Madhuvrate Vitas. I successfully passed out my MA examination. An injustice was done towards me by the same professor with whom I had to fight at a later time, and his name is Professor Ir. Course of my studies, my first encounter in archaeology was in Ayodhya. If somebody says that I have excavated, perhaps that is a wrong statement. It was excavated by Professor B.B. Lal, and I was one of the team members. Controversial mosque, I saw the pillars. All these pillars were completely different from that of mosque pillars, because all of them had the carving of Ashtamangala Chinnas. Ashtamangala Chinnas, that is a kind of auspicious symbol in Hinduism. Certain things have happened in Indian history. A lot of temples have been destroyed. Not 1, 2, 3. Certain things. EPR radar survey was conducted. So on the radar survey it was very clear that below the mosque there are many temple remains are there. Honorable Shri Dr. Krishna Kumarji, respected Professor Desiyavathi, respected Shanmugathanji, the former Governor of Mizoram, respected Kanaka Sabhavati, members from INTAC, Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, my brothers and sisters in Coimbatore. Actually, we were supposed to start the meeting with lighting the auspicious lamp, but then it was converted, I don't know why, into a prayer. But I would like to light it by reciting the mantra, Deep Jyoti, Param Jyoti, Deep Jyoti Janardana, Deepo Hartume Pa, Deep Jyoti Namostude. It is indeed a pleasant personal pleasure and privilege for me to be here in Coimbatore in the midst of all of you, my brothers and sisters. This institution where I am speaking, this has been founded by the present Krishna Kumarji's great illustrious father, and now Krishna Kumarji is the moving spirit and guiding beam of the whole entire project. It has turned into a very big institution, and I am very fortunate that I am addressing all of you in this particular institution. I am basically an archaeologist. Right from the very beginning, I had a liking for archaeology and history. In my school days, I studied two books out of my course. One was The Discovery of India, written by Jawaharlal Nehru, and the second was The Glimpses of World History, again written by him. Of course, not in English, but in my native language, Malayalam. That tremendously influenced me. And then there was a third book which was Through the Heart of India. It was about Nalanda, Vikramshila and all this universities. So when I went through all these things, I found that there is something which vibrate you, which takes you deep into your own civilizations. So I took a conscious decision that after my high school examination, I will study in such a place which is which was the operational area of the Indian civilization. Which is the operational area of Indian civilization? Naturally, we have got Delhi, Agra, Punjab, the whole area of Ganga, in area between Ganga and Yamuna. For the first time, about river Ganga, we find mention in Rig Veda. Imam me Gange Yamune Saraswati Shutudri Somam Sajada Varshnaya Asikne Madhavrate Vitastaya. So I just wanted to see how Ganga is flowing, how Yamuna is flowing. What is the land in between the Ganga and Yamuna? It was always considered as a very holy land. Tam Deva Nirmidam Desham Brahmavartam Prachakshade. The land between Ganga and Yamuna that has been created by gods and goddesses by doing penance for years and years together. That is why whenever there was some illegal activity in that area, the saints and seven, they did not like it. That is why they said, Navartidavyam tadar adharma bandhu. Dharmena nityena cha vartitavye. Oh adharma bandhu, it is not a land meant for you. This land has been created by saints and seven by doing penance for years and years. So I just wanted to see all these places, and especially my Nalanda and Vikramshila, all these universities also. So I joined in Aligarh Muslim University for my further studies. And there, although I successfully passed out my MA examination, an injustice was done towards me by the same professor with whom I had to fight at a later time. And his name is Professor Irfan Habib. So when an injustice was done to me, I decided that I will originally go back to my own liking, the subject of my own liking, and that was archaeology. I joined in Archaeological Survey of India. That was at that time it was School of Archaeology, and thus I got an opportunity to work and study in Archaeological Survey of India, which actually decided my fate. So during the course of my studies, my first encounter in archaeology was in Ayodhya or with Ayodhya. Because our first experience, first encounter, first archaeological excavation was in Ayodhya. That was under Professor B.B. Lal. He's a great doyen of archaeology. So if somebody says that I have excavated, perhaps that is a wrong statement. It was excavated by Professor B.B. Lal, and I was one of the team members. And I had one more team member from Tamil Nadu. And this, my team member's name was Shri. She was of course now the daughter of Jairam Ramesh, our former minister. And her father was Jairaman. Perhaps I think he was the district magistrate sometimes back here in this particular Coimbatore itself. So we were all classmates. So an excavation has two things. One is the excavation proper, and second is the exploration, outside exploration. So before the excavation proper, we will go to the surrounding area, we will explore the entire thing, and then we would see what are the things all around. So when I went to this mosque, which was very controversial mosque, I saw the pillars. All these pillars were completely different from that of mosque pillars, because all of them had the carving of Ashtamangala Chinnas. Ashtamangala Chinnas, that is a kind of auspicious symbol in Hinduism. And it is known as Purna Kalasha. What is a Purna Kalasha? Purna Kalasha is a vase from which foliage would be coming out. This is one of the Ashtamangala Chinnas in Hinduism. I don't know how it is in South India now, but in North India, this is always there in all the temples of 10th, 11th and 12th centuries. So we had all a kind of doubt about these temple pillars. If you have any doubt, if anybody has got any doubt, they can go and see the temple pillars which is just by the side of Qutub Minar. It is known as Quwwatul Islam Masjid. So there also you can see the same kind of Purna Kalasha in almost all the pillars, and all of them have been converted mosques. It is known as Quwwatul Islam Masjid, but 27 temples have been destroyed in order to make that temple, that mosque. Certain things have happened in Indian history. A lot of temples have been destroyed. Not 1, 2, 3. Certain things have happened. But history is not something with which we have to fight. We have to have some kind of treaty with history. And the present day Muslims are not responsible for those things also. But the Muslims becomes responsible for those things the moment they try to justify those things which should not have happened in history. Being an archaeologist, I have seen several sites like this one. So when we saw, we were very sure that these are the temple pillars. They have been reused. And then we went into history. If it is slightly hot water, that would be all right, but otherwise, it would be great. It's not cold, but I'll be getting, I think, some hot water. Yeah. So these things have happened in history, and we are not going to fight with history, and we have to have some kind of treaty also with history. But at the same time, Muslim community or any other community, they should not try to justify those things. And then we went for the excavation work. When we went for the excavation work, we saw the brick basement for erecting these pillars. One was 12 pillars were temple pillars. And then during the excavation, we could excavate the brick bases on which the original temple pillars would have stood up. It was in the year 1976 and 77. At that time, the temple was not a very big issue. So at that time, Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, and Professor Noorul Hassan was the Education Minister, because at that time there was no cultural ministry. He was the Education Minister. Professor B.B. Lal, he was the excavator. It was not a mandir, masjid was not an issue at that time. So nobody highlighted it. But by 1990, it became an issue. And the professors of JNU and Aligarh Muslim University, they came out with a statement saying that Professor B.B. Lal excavated the place, but he could not get any remains of the temple below the mosque. That was their original statement. So naturally, Professor B.B. Lal, he had to defend himself. He said, no, we have excavated the place. And we have got many temple pillars also, temple bases also, pillar bases also, and also many other evidences which would say that there was a temple below the mosque. Again, because this communist historian, they had a lot of connection with English newspapers, especially with Times of India, with Hindu, with many of these English newspapers. They carried out, they managed the whole thing. So I was at that time in Madras. I was Deputy Superintending Archaeologist in Archaeological Survey of India, Madras, in Fort St. George. So I gave a statement. I was having a discussion with so many people, Then I wrote a small letter to Ayodhya Mahadevan. He was the editor of Dinamani at that time, because he had written another letter saying that some historical wrongs have taken place, but it is not proper now to right those historical wrongs that had taken place. But one set of archaeologists says that there are remains. Another set of historians says, because they are not archaeologists, historians says, no, there are no remains. Then why can't we do one more excavations? That was his statement. It was a very balanced statement by Ayodhya Mahadevan, because he did not justify those people who are going to destroy this temple. So I felt this is a very balanced judgment. Such things should be encouraged. I wrote him a personal letter because I knew him very well. I wrote a personal letter to him. Sir, this is something very great because you have come out with this kind of very high principles and this one, and I appreciate it very much. And I have seen that because I was the only Muslim who had participated in that excavations, and I have seen the temple pillars also, I have seen the temple remains also, and I have got other evidences also to say that there was a Hindu temple below the mosque. So immediately, soon after getting, because at that time there was no other means of communication except telephone. It was in 1990. He came into my room. I was in Fort St. George at that time in Clive building. He came into my room and he congratulated me first. And then he said, Mr. Muhammad, if you permit, I'm going to publish it. But I said, sir, I am a government servant. I am a deputy superintendent archaeologist, newly selected person. And I don't have much service also. As a government servant, as per the conduct rules, I had to take the permission of the government of India. And I'm sure on an issue like this one, they are not going to give me any kind of permission because it's a very sensitive case. So how can we go for this one? Then we had a long discussion. Afterwards, it was decided, yes, this would be published. And then, of course, it was published on 15th of December, as Kanaka Sabhabadi sir has said, on 15th of December 1990. Immediately, there was uproar all over the country, especially in the bastion of JNU historians, alleged historians, and also a group of people known as Muslim Munnani in Tamil Nadu, in various parts of Tamil Nadu also. Of course, I had done something which I should not have done as a government servant. But I felt that as an archaeologist, it is something on which I should have spoken. That is number one. Number two, I should have spoken it as the only one Muslim who had participated in that excavation. Of course, it was naturally the government has to issue me a show cause notice. They have to call for my explanation also. And very fortunately at that time, the R.C. Tripathi, the government secretary, was there in Madras. He had come for a Silk Route seminar. He took me to task. He gave me left and right. And then he told me, Mr. Muhammad, I am going to suspend you right now. It's a very sensitive issue. We all knew that there was a temple below the mosque. But you as a government servant, you should not have spoken about it. You should not have written about it. So I had given my full name also, K.K. Muhammad, Deputy Superintendent Archaeologist, Archaeological Survey of India, Fort St. George, Madras. Full. Then Mr. M.C. Joshi, my Director General, was there. He said, I am going to suspend you right now. Even if he wanted to write, I knew, he said, I knew that there was a temple, but I did not speak about it. Even if you wanted to write about it, you could have said that some KK Muhammad, why did you give your full address and other things? So I told him, sir, if I had given some KK Muhammad, then that would not have carried the authenticity. So I just wanted to make it authentic. Then by that time, R.C. Tripathi, he again became angry. He said, I'm going to suspend you right now at this moment. So I said, sir, I did not do it for any kind of personal reasons. Not to gain any kind of history, any kind of mileage, but just for the well-being of the nation and the country, because it is such an issue. Then I quoted, Loga Samgrahame Vapi Sambashyan Kartumarhasi. Whatever I had done, this is for the benefit or for the welfare of the country. So he became further angry. He said, I am a Brahmin from Allahabad. You are going to teach me Sanskrit? I am going to suspend you. Again, his words was, I am going to suspend you right now. Then I quoted one more Sanskrit. I said, sir, that is fine. You can, of course, suspend me because you are a higher officer. And then I quoted, Sudharme Nidanam Shreya. For doing my own duty, even death is welcome. When I quoted this one, he was a completely changed man. Completely changed man. He said, Mr. Muhammad, you have done the right thing. We all knew, but somehow we were lacking in expressing it. It should have been spoken by an archaeologist. You are an archaeologist. Then he again said, it should have been spoken by a Muslim, and you are a Muslim. But he again said, there is pressure on me that I should take action against you. I said, sir, you are right. I should not have spoken, I know it. And I knew because there would be some kind of action also, it would be not less than suspension. But then he said, because it was Chandrasekharji's government at that time, and then followed by Narasimha Rao's government. And I did not know that after some few years, BJP would come into power. Nobody knew at that time. So then I. Mahadevan, because I narrated this thing to I. Mahadevan. He was a senior IAS officer and he was industries minister in Tamil Nadu also. He went to him, R.C. Tripathi, because R.C. Tripathi was his junior. So he went to him and said, see, this man, because of my compulsion only, he has done it. And he has done it for a cause. And you are a Brahman and you have a duty. He has done his duty and you have to do your duty. So whatever is possible, that you should do. So my suspension was converted into a kind of transfer from eastern coast to western coast, that was Goa. So that way they rescued me. And then the second excavation, because he had said that if one group says that there are no temple remains and another group of people say that there are temple remains, why can't we do a second excavation? So it got prolonged for a long time, and ultimately a order was given by Allahabad High Court on the basis of the earlier order given by Supreme Court. So this order was given in 2003, and the group was led by Dr. B.R. Mani. B.R. Mani is one of the senior archaeologists. And I was not there in that excavation because I had expressed my own opinion earlier. So I should not have been made a part of that kind of, because I will be having a preconceived notion. So in order to avoid, because I was not taken into that one. But Professor Dr. Mani, B.R. Mani, he led the excavation. So when we originally excavated, we had originally 12 Hindu temple pillars, and then a number of pillar bases, and then a number of temple other remains also. In the second excavation, because these people said no, there are not at all, no remains at all. And they also went to the extent, that is Professor Irfan Habib also went to the extent of saying that Babri Masjid was built on virgin land, which means below that, not only temple, there was nothing at all. So Muslims have occupied a completely virgin land on which there was nothing at all, and they have built this mosque on that one. That was his stand. So before the second excavation, GPR survey was conducted, ground penetrating radar survey. This survey was not by any Indians. This was done by outside agencies. So in the GPR survey, below the Babri Masjid, by that time, the demolition had taken place in 1992. As we all know, the demolition had taken place. I am as an archaeologist, I am not in favor of the demolition of the temple because that was wrong. I still believe like that. So demolition had taken place and then the GPR radar survey was conducted. So on the radar survey, it was very clear that below the mosque there are many temple remains are there. Because it was not very sure temple remains or not, there are remains of so many structures. Because GPR survey will be showing so many anomalies in that one. So these anomalies were shown. So again, Irfan Habib and all those people got worked up. They tried to stop the GPR survey also. They tried to stop the further excavations also. They said that if things are going to be conducted, if things are going to be decided on the basis of the excavation, not only this excavation would be taking place, many more excavations would be taking place. So it should be stopped. That was their second changed stand. And then the second excavation took place. So when we conducted the first excavation, we had 12 pillars, but now more than 50 pillars of the temples were exposed during the excavation. More than 50 pillars of the temples were exposed. They had said no remains at all. And we had originally got only 12 pillars. Now it is more than 50 pillars at all, 50 pillars, and that too in 17 rows. Which means it was a huge temple. It was a huge mandapa of the temple. So that was the first thing. So this excavation was carried out not only by Archaeological Survey of India, because the order for Archaeological Survey of India was given by Allahabad High Court. So Archaeological Survey interfered in it. They went for the excavation as per the order of the High Court of Allahabad. So it was more than 50 pillars were exposed. And then during the excavation they got the pranala. What is a pranala? Because every day we have to bathe the deity. If it is Shiva or Vishnu or Parvati or whatever it is, we have to bathe the deity every day. And the Abhishek Jala will go through the gargoyle. That is known as pranali. In North India, it should always be towards the north. It should always be towards the north. Because wherever the river is taking a turn towards north, it is known as Uttaravahini. That is a holy place for Hindus. Gangotri, Yamunotri, Haridwar, Lakshman Jhula, Prayag, all these places, the river is taking a turn towards the north. That is a holy place for them. So in temples also, wherever you have a pranala, that would be always towards the north. So that pranala was excavated. Now, what is the significance of the pranala? This pranala, you would neither get it in a residential area nor in a bazaar area. A pranala you would be getting only from a temple. So it was proved that it was a temple. And that too, it is a Magara pranala. What is a Magara pranala? Magara means crocodile. A Magara crocodile means that is a symbolic feature in Hindu iconography for river Ganga. If you go to North Indian temple, on the right side of the Garbhagriha, there would be one lady standing on Magara, that is on a crocodile, which means that is Ganga. And on the left side, there will be a lady standing on tortoise, which means that is Yamuna. So before going to the god, that is to the temple Garbhagriha, you are having a symbolic bath in Ganga, Yamuna, and the unseen Saraswati, and purifying yourself of all your washing off all your sins, and then going to the temple. That is the concept. So this Magara Pranala was excavated. So after Magara Pranala, on the top of almost all the North Indian temples, you will be having, just below the Kalasha, there will be an Amalka. In South Indian temple, it is not like that. But there you will be having an Amalka. Amalka is almost like Nellika. It is almost like Nellika. It is a serrated one. So this was excavated from the same place. So this also, again, you cannot get it in a residential area. You cannot get it in a bazaar area also, which means it is a temple area. Then the Shikara portion. The Shikara portion in North India, you will be having a huge Shikara portion in Reka Devul temple. So many architectural members of this Shikara was also excavated from there. And then, apart from all this thing, more than 263 terracotta pratimas, idols, terracotta idols of snakes, human beings, ladies, drummers, animals, all of them were excavated from that area. Had it been a Muslim dominated area or a Muslim mosque, none of these living creatures or none of the terracotta features of these living creatures could have been there at that site. Because creation of living being, depiction of living being, that is haram, that is prohibited in Islam. You just cannot get it from a Muslim area. You cannot have a Muslim idol in a Muslim area. So all of them, these were excavated from there. And then you had one Vishnu Hari Shila Falak. What is this Vishnu Hari Shila Falak? There was an inscription which was also exposed at that site, because it was not during the excavation time, but when the mosque was demolished, this Vishnu Hari Shilak Falak, that inscription, that was exposed. And what does it say? What does this Vishnu Hari Shila Falak say? It says, it is in 20 verses. It says very clearly, this temple of Mahavishnu is dedicated to that Vishnu who has completely destroyed and who has killed Bali. Who has killed Bali? Lord Ram. And it again says, who has killed 10-headed person. Who is that 10-headed person? It is Ram. So it is very clear that it was a Hindu temple. Now, as per the order of the Supreme Court, they very euphemistically they said a non-Muslim structure. That was a kind of euphemism, because when the inscription says very clearly, it is dedicated to that Vishnu who has killed Bali, it is a temple. When it says it is dedicated to that Vishnu who has killed 10-headed person, that is a Hindu temple. And the gargoyle, that is this water shoot, you cannot get it from a Jain temple, you cannot get it from a Buddhist temple also. So it is very clear. But we accept whatever the verdict is there, we accept it. So when all these things were exposed, excavated, even at that time also, the communist historian, they refused to accept all those things. They would come out with some kind of arguments. And of course, then the arguments went on. So just before 10 days of the final judgment, I gave a statement in Times of India. It was widely circulated. Times of India was always siding and Hindu also always siding the communist group of people. But I don't know, somehow they carried my statement. It was a 4-column, very big statement. So in which I had given almost all important evidences in favor of the temple. And then that my final bombshell was something else. Because they were always saying it was some kind of Buddhist structure or some kind of, because all the reports were manipulated, all of them were Hindus. But I said, it is not correct to say that all those people who had participated in the excavations were Hindus. Even in the labor class also, when there was 150 people, almost 48 persons were Muslims. As per the court order, it is not because they went to the court and said that 1/3 of the group should be Muslim. So it was accepted by the court also, and they gave the judgment. And then almost all the entire excavation was videographed, photographed, and there were supervisors. 2 important judges were there throughout the excavation. 2 important judges were throughout the excavations. They were supervising everything. Whether any kind of manipulation is being done by Archaeological Survey of India or not. So all these things were going on. And then there were experts by the Sunni Waqf Board also. These hired Sunni Waqf Board experts were also there. So-called archaeological experts were also there. Then my final bombing was something else. I said, because you people say that all of them were Hindus, so they have manipulated the report. I said, this is not a manipulated report. Because Archaeological Survey of India did not participate in the excavation on its own, on the second time. Because the court gave an order to Archaeological Survey of India to participate in the excavation, conduct the excavation, and then submit a report, which means it is a court commissioner's report. It is a court commissioner's report. It has got that kind of validity. Whereas the other experts of Sunni Waqf Board and other people, they were hired experts of the Sunni Waqf Board, but they were not independent people. Whereas this Archaeological Survey of India officers were the court commissioner's report. That was number 1. And the second thing I said that the whole report was prepared, the whole preparation of the whole report. And in the excavation also, there were 4 Muslim important experts in Archaeological Survey of India. And then I counted the name. The name of the first person was Ghulam Sayyidin Khwaja. Ghulam Sayyidin Khwaja, he was an excavator also with Archaeological Survey of India. And then he was part of the report making committee also. He was the co-author of the report. And he retired as the director of Persian and Arabic epigraphy from Nagpur. That was number 1. Number 2, I took the name of Atikur Rahman Siddiqui, who retired from Agra Circle as the superintending archaeologist. Agra Circle and Delhi Circles, these are 2 very important circles in Archaeological Survey of India. Whosoever is appointed there, he would be a very important officer. And this Dr. Atikur Rahman Siddiqui, he retired from Agra Circle. That was the second person. And the third person was A.A. Hashmi. He retired from Bhopal Circle. And the fourth person was Zulfikar Ali. He is still serving in Punjab as the superintending archaeologist. So of all the 12 people who were there for the excavation work as experts in Archaeological Survey of India, these 4 people were there, and they were not only excavators, they were the co-authors of the report which was submitted to Supreme Court of India, which you cannot never refuse. So naturally they were completely embarrassed. They were blown off their feet. The whole communist group, the Aligarh Muslim University group, the ANU group, they were completely blown off of their feet. They had no argument at all because they were completely shattered at their own game, because this was the kind of game which they were using. They were completely shattered. So, they are not going to sit like that one. They have got many patrons in newspapers also, Times of India also, Hindu also. In many papers, they have got a lot of patrons. They came out, some 8-9 days before the judgment, they came out with a new attack again and with a new missile against me. One doctor, this one, Nadeem Rizvi, the head of the department, the chairman of the chairman of the history department of Aligarh Muslim University, came out with a press statement saying that KK Muhammed was not there during the excavations with Professor Bibi Lal. And his name has not been mentioned anywhere. That was their statement. So some of the newspapers did not carry, but it came in Times of India. So naturally, as per the ethics of the newspaper people, ethics of the journalism, they should have referred the thing to me, but they did not consult me. They published their own version, that the version of Dr. Nadeem Rizvi and a group of other Dr. D.N. Jha from Delhi University. Then immediately I contacted my own people. I contacted Professor B.B. Lal also. Fortunately, he is still alive, although he is 98 years old. He was not in India, he is in America. I contacted him over this one email. He immediately sent an email to Times of India. And then there were some other people who are still alive who had participated with me in the excavation. So we all became very active, and then immediately we gave a stunning and we gave a very powerful rebuttal to Times of India, which they were forced to publish, and they published that one. But JNU historians and other historians of Aligarh Muslim University, they went to Malayalam paper. There is a paper known as Madhyamam. It is a Jamaat Islami paper. They published. They have been hounding me out since the last 1 week. But when the news came, when the news of the judgment came, they were completely shattered because they had no other words to say. To say, they had no defense to put up because they were completely shattered. So this is a brief account of what had taken place during this period of time. I don't know whether there is any need of going into the PowerPoint presentation. If you are interested, I can give you, because it would be a long PowerPoint presentation. But okay.